Alright guys, 2 videos in one day. I hope you guys enjoy, but in tonight's video we are grading the AFC East draft picks, and like we do with every division, we're going to discuss the thought process, how these draft picks improve the team, and really everything in between. So we are starting with the Miami Dolphins, who only had 4 picks, and we are going to start with Ryan Hayes, the late 7th round pick from Michigan. So with Ryan, of course, the thing to remember is it's a late 7th round pick, and if he develops, awesome. If not, it's a late 7th round pick. But the reason why I bring Ryan up is he allowed 11 pressures all year at Michigan in 2022 and allowed a grand total of 0 sacks. Now, if he allowed, 4 sacks and 30 pressures throughout the year and they took him in the 7th round, that would be a little cause for concern, but I did think it was worth noting and at least to mention that with Ryan, and he should be a backup lineman for this team, and if he has to spot start from a 7th round pick, I like the value there for Miami. But heading back to the 2nd round with Cam Smith, first off, I thought they got tremendous value. Cam was mocked at times, not routinely, but there were certainly times where he was mocked in the 1st round, and we knew with the corner run, it was going to start at some point. And I thought for Miami to get Cam Smith along with players they already have in the secondary, like Jalen Ramsey, who was acquired this offseason, Javon Holland, who I think is one of the most underrated players in all of the NFL, Kader Kaho, who had a very, very good rookie season, Deshaun Elliott, who was a good free agency pickup, and of course veteran Xavier Howard, who kind of fell off last season. Regardless, I think with Cam Smith, they got tremendous value in the 2nd round, and I think he's going to be a good player for them. Cam was targeted 38 times in 2022 and allowed a grand total of 18 receptions. So I like the potential of Cam Smith, and anytime a player gets to come in and learn from somebody like Jalen Ramsey, whenever there's a veteran at the position, it doesn't matter if it's corner, offensive line, defensive line, I personally get really excited about that because at least you'd hope that Cam Smith is going to be a sponge on knowledge that Jalen is going to share every day in practice. And not only does Cam fill a position of need for the Dolphins at corner, especially with the decline of Xavier Howard, but you're in a conference where quarterbacks are more just loaded than ever before, so it's never bad to pick up secondary and also get tremendous value at that with your first pick in the draft. Now, Devon Achane in the middle of the 3rd round, guys, he was my 4th ranked running back in this class behind Bijan Robinson, of course, at 1, Jahmyr Gibbs at 2, and Zach Charbonnet at 3. And the biggest thing to remember for Devon Achane is, and I want this to be clear, while he is fast, that's not just his game. He had 5 100-yard games in 2022, including a 38-carry, 215-yard, 2-touchdown game against LSU. So I love the Devon Achane pick, and with Devon Achane, the Dolphins now have a running back room of him, Raheem Mostert, and Jeff Wilson. So love the value for them in the middle of the 3rd round, and of course, if you know anything about the Dolphins, yes, Devon does fit their mold on offense, which of course is speed. But the biggest thing to remember, he's not just speed. He also forced 53 missed tackles in his final year at Texas A&M. Now, their 6th round pick, Elijah Higgins, 6'3", 235 pounds, 4'5", 440. He will play tight end, and I like that pick for them because they did need tight end help. Durham Smythe and Eric Saubert were their top 2 tight ends heading into the draft. So Mike McDaniel getting a guy with, again, 4.5 speed, you're going to replace Mike Gesicki with that, who signed with the Patriots this offseason. So overall, the Dolphins, while only having 4 picks, they had a pretty solid draft, all things considered, and we gave them a B. And heading from Miami up to New England, we go to discuss the New England Patriots, and there's going to be a couple of complaints with the Patriots draft, but I want to start with the positives because there are genuinely a lot of positives with this draft. The first is getting Christian Gonzalez at number 17 overall. That was a steal in itself, and that was a home run for the New England Patriots, and I think the same can also be said about their 2nd round pick, Keon White. And by the way, within the Christian Gonzalez trade, what I particularly loved about that was, and we'll also get to the other side of this when we discuss the Jets, but because they traded with the Steelers when they were on the clock at 14, the Steelers of course had the 17th pick, the Steelers went up in front of the Jets to go get Broderick Jones, which prevents the Patriots from playing Broderick Jones twice a year for presumably the next 5 or 6 years, hopefully even longer for Broderick's case. Hopefully he has a successful NFL career, but I thought that was a tremendous just win for the Patriots in that scenario. I also liked Marty Mapu. Some argued that it was a little early, but aside from that, their day 3 I thought was a little rough. There were a couple picks mixed in here because they had 12 picks, so they did have 9 day 3 picks. I liked a couple of them, but there were a ton of rough ones, and we're going to start with Jake Andrews from Troy, which to me was an awful pick at the early part of the 4th round. If you wanted to draft an interior offensive lineman, Chandler Zavala was still available. I thought he was a 3rd round prospect. The Patriots could have got him in the 4th, and ultimately he didn't go much further behind the Patriots as he went to Carolina shortly after this. And Anthony Bradford was available as well, the road grading guard from LSU. So for the Patriots to kick off day 3 with Jake Andrews, a player who was probably a 7th round pick in terms of a draft grade, and then to get a kicker in the 4th round, while all these players were on the board, was something I could not get behind for them. Now, I did like City So from Eastern Michigan. I thought they had great value there, and the same thing applies for Antonio Mafi from UCLA, but aside from that, guys, I did not like the Patriots day 3. Kayshon Boutte, I personally wouldn't have drafted. If he works out, great. I'm not going to criticize a 6th round pick too much, but when you're starting day 3 off after a good first 2 days of the draft with a 7th round interior offensive lineman that honestly could get cut, maybe they'll keep him just because they took him in the 4th round, and a kicker, that kind of soured me on the first 2 days. And again, I love the Patriots' first 2 days. I'm not going to get too much into Demario Douglas, Amir Speed, and Isaiah Bolden. They're developmental guys. They're late round picks. If they work out, awesome. But the biggest complaint that I had with the draft was Jake Andrews over Chandler Zavala. And I thought the Patriots, given they attacked guard a couple of picks later, why not, if you're going to triple down on the interior offensive line, why not take the best one available in Chandler Zavala? So for the Patriots, day 3, in which I kind of thought they swung and missed on after a good first 2 days, we ended up giving the Patriots a B+. And going from New England to Western New York, we go to discuss the Buffalo Bills draft, and they only had 6 picks, but what I particularly liked about the Buffalo Bills draft, and Bills fans, well, a lot of Bills fans, and this actually applies to Bengals fans as well, a lot of them do not like Patrick Mahomes. Now, this obviously doesn't apply to every single Bills or Chiefs fan, but a lot of them don't like Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs because they beat them when it matters, and they're sick of them winning, which I understand. If I were a fan of an AFC team, I would get where they're coming from. But if you watch Travis Kelce beat your team multiple times throughout the past couple years, and you watch him basically play what is equivalent to a wide receiver role in terms of how often he gets the football, and you have a chance to go up and get your own light version of that with Dalton Kincaid, I thought the Bills hit a home run with Kincaid. And I have no problem with them not really having a great second receiver heading into the season, because Kincaid is going to fill that role. Kincaid is better than a lot of rookie tight ends we've seen over the past several years. Kyle Pitts is an exception, of course, but if you have an offense now with Josh Allen, James Cook, Stephon Diggs, Dalton Kincaid, and yes, they also have Dawson Knox, which means they're going to run a lot of 12 personnel, which is 1 running back and 2 tight ends, I personally have no problem with that. And the biggest positive for the Kincaid selection is already having Stephon Diggs. So Kincaid's not going to be the primary focus of the defense, and if he is, then good luck stopping Josh Allen in the ground game, and good luck stopping Stephon Diggs in the receiving game. So I thought the Kincaid pick was an A+ first round pick, and I also thought if the Bills did not make this selection, I thought he was going to fall right into Dallas's lap at pick 27. So love that pick for them. And by the way, the Bills weren't done, as I also love the O'Cyrus Torrence selection, and on the channel multiple times I had mocked the Bills' O'Cyrus Torrence because they really need help in the trenches after the loss to the Bengals. I thought that was pretty clear where they got bullied a lot throughout that game. So love their first 2 picks, and Dorian Williams, I also like that selection as well. I would have liked the Buffalo Bills to get Jack Campbell and have a linebacking duo of Matt Milano and Jack Campbell, but Campbell was off the board a lot earlier than really everyone projected. But to walk out of the first 3 rounds with 3 players, two for sure that will start in Kincaid and Torrance. I thought it was a great draft for them. Now, what I will say about Nick Broker, Broker was, I mean, he was a lottery pick, but he did not allow a sack during his final season at Ole Miss. So anytime you can get a guard in the SEC or a tackle in the SEC that did not allow a sack in their final season, I'm all for it. Go for it. It's a lottery pick anyway. And Alex Austin, corner from Oregon State, he might get cut before the season starts, but what we're focusing on really with the Bills draft is the first three picks. And there's a chance that a team that lost in the divisional round of the playoffs last year, a team that was a lot of people's preseason Super Bowl pick for the 2022 season, myself included, walked out of a draft with three starters. And of course, Dorian would be filling the role that Tremaine Edmonds left, as he left in free agency to go to the Bears. And even if he doesn't, then you walk out with two for sure starters in Dalton Kincaid and Osiris Torrance. So for everything considered, we gave the Bills a B+ draft grade. From Western New York to the Big Apple, we go to discuss the New York Jets draft. And for everything that I liked about the Jets and what they've done over the past few years, I was not a fan of what GM Joe Douglas did with this draft, and honestly, it started with the Aaron Rodgers trade. Now, I like the Aaron Rodgers trade. You have to get a quarterback. I respect that. I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem with was the pick swap. The pick swap, I thought, was Joe Douglas kind of panicking and basically saying to Goot, the Packers GM, basically saying, look, man, we got to get this deal done. You know, I'm under a lot of pressure here. I don't think they needed the pick swap, and that's what kind of, you know, killed the Jets draft for me. I like Will McDonald as a prospect, but to draft him 15 overall and to have the Steelers come up directly in front of you and say, we know you guys want Broderick Jones, and we're going to trade with your division rival because we can, I thought that was a kind of a loss on their part. Joe Tippmann, I like him as a prospect. I don't like him more than John Michael Schmitz, who they also drafted over they drafted Joe Tippmann over John Michael Schmitz. Carter Warren did not particularly like the value there. The pick that I liked the absolute most for the Jets was 5th round running back Israel Abanikanda. I thought they got an absolute steal in him, but we're talking about a Jets draft where the best pick was a 5th round backup running back. And by the way, I do like Will McDonald, and I think he will thrive on the Jets defensive line. I just thought they overdrafted him a hair, and I thought that was a little bit of a panic selection because the Steelers went right up in front of them, flaunted their feathers, and said, we want Broderick Jones. We're going to take him, and there is nothing you can do about that. So I thought the Jets kind of lost in that part. One thing that I did like Zach from Old Dominion, the tight end, insane raw athletic score, and if he works out for a 7th round tight end, go for it. I love that. The Jets have not been able to hit a tight end recently. They've tried in free agency, whether it's CJ Uzomah, Tyler Conklin. They even took Jeremy Ruckert last year from Ohio State. So if he works out as a 7th round tight end, good for Zach and the Jets. But this draft was, to me, it was kind of underwhelming, and it started that way, and a 5th round running back does not make up the whole draft for me. I thought Carter Warren was a little overdrafted. I don't want to kill that pick too much, but the Jets' depth at left tackle is not good. We're relying on a 38-year-old Dwayne Brown or Mekhi Becton who hasn't played in a couple of years, and we allowed a conference rival in the Steelers, maybe not rival, but a conference team to go up and get the guy that we originally wanted because we panicked with a pick swap. So everything considered for the New York Jets draft, we gave it a C+. But that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, as it would both mean the world and help the channel growth a ton. The Patreon and Twitter links are in the description if you'd like to support the channel, and until next time, please be safe and have a great day. Love you guys.